Alright, so we're checking out the Firefly 18 again with the wide angle adapter. In this video is just going to be talking about this wide angle adapter that FLYWOO has created. It's a 3D printed part with a lens and some UV protectors. There's 3 different versions, and this is pretty important to point out. So the one on here just fits over, it's a friction fit, and it just kind of slides over their 18mm mount on this the Firefly 18, and it just looks like this. Pretty basic, and it's a nice 3D print. It's pretty well constructed. They come in different versions, so you can get the ones with the just by itself with the UV protector. It's basically this glass that's in the front, or you can get the set with the ND816 and ND32 filters, and that's how they sent this one like this. They also have what they're calling the down here the 0403 version and 04 Pro version. So when people will see this and like, oh, there's a wide angle adapter for those cameras, which you don't, why would you need them for those cameras? Because those cameras have perfectly fine wide angle capability, and that's not what this is for. This is for the 04 Lite camera. The 04 Lite camera goes in here just like, you know, basically without the little 18mm mount, and you stick it in there. You screw this back plate on, and the little MIPI cable comes out the back like that. And as you can see, this is the 03 version, has basically the same mount pattern as an 03 camera, and it's 20mm wide. And the 04 version again is basically the same thing. You put the 04 Lite inside here, put the back plate on again like so. Screws are included, and you can see that the mount holes here are the same as on an 04 Pro camera module. So basically you can turn an 04 Lite into an 04 Pro mountable camera or 03 Pro camera. So if you want to put an 04 Lite into a frame that uses an 03 camera, with that adapter you can obviously add the wide angle ability and use the 04 Lite camera in that frame. So when I first got this, I realized that the camera setup out of the box was set to 16:9, and it's set for rock steady stabilization, not gyro flow stabilization, where you would basically have EIS turned off and it would save the gyro flow data to the video file. That's not the case for the way this wide angle adapter works, and that's because there is no gyro flow lens profile for this lens, at least not yet. So while you can go into 4:3 mode, for example, and record that video with the gyro data on there with EIS turned off, there's no way to stabilize it in gyro flow because it doesn't have a proper lens profile. That may change in the future, and if it does, then I'll revisit this topic and look at that video format, or the stabilized video from that aspect ratio 4:3. And well, let me just get into the whole myriad of different ways you can record with this camera. So in this field of view testing I did, you can record in 16:9 with no rock steady or with rock steady on, 4:3 with no rock steady or with rock steady on. And then when you record in 4:3 with no rock steady on, you can then take that and turn it into stabilized footage with gyro flow. You can't do that with the adapter. So you basically have 2 scenarios: no adapter and with the adapter. And for pretty much all of these other ones out here, other than these that are two circled ones, are kind of pointless. If you feel like I am just kind of throwing these out the window for no reason, let me know why you feel like you want to record 4K video in 16:9 with no adapter and no rock steady. If that's a really important case for you, let me know. I feel like none of these other ones are important. The only ones that are important are the 16:9 with rock steady turned on, and that is how the Firefly 18 comes out of the box. This is the 4K footage you're going to get. Now, what I have been flying before this adapter even came out is the 4:3 mode with basically no rock steady. So then I would stabilize it in post-processing with gyroflow. And I'm going to explain what these numbers mean here now. So I basically put this little, is an X-Acto knife cutting mat with, these are 1-inch squares. And I put the drone in front of here, like it's actually kind of like about here, not that far away from that FLYWOO sticker, maybe about, I think it was about 7 inches away. And basically you can get a lot of different looks from the DVR, from the goggle. It doesn't really change a whole lot. Obviously with the adapter on, you're in certain modes, especially in the 4x3 modes, you're going to see the edge, basically the vignetting of the edge of the adapter in your goggle field of view, which can be distracting. It kind of cuts off a lot of the field of view, in my opinion. So using it in 4x3 mode with the adapter is probably not, I would say it's not ideal. I personally would not fly with the adapter in 4x3 mode. Now granted, you could get the 4x3 mode with no rock steady, get the gyroflow data, and then once a lens profile comes out, we'll get this sort of footage here that might be a wider angle than what I currently get. And so that's why I basically I wanted to do a sort of an objective look at what kind of field of view are we actually getting from this wide angle adapter. And when I did that from the same distance, when I did 16:9 with rock steady, record the 4K footage as it comes out of the box, I get about 15.5 squares by 8 squares in the 4K recording. Okay. And when I record in 4x3 and after I run it through gyroflow using the standard settings, stock settings, nothing, I didn't alter them in any way, I actually get a larger field of view. I get 16:9 squares. So that's 16 across by 9 up and down vertical. So what this tells me here is that for me, as a pilot that flew mostly 4x3 and the footage I was getting, I felt like the field of view was adequate in 4x3 mode. I don't think it's adequate in 16:9 mode, but it's okay. I think it's flyable in 4x3 mode, and the 4K footage you get is, I think, good enough in terms of field of view. But when you get the wide angle adapter, it's going to record in 16:9 with rock steady, not gyroflow, and you get actually a smaller field of view in the end. It's actually slightly smaller compared to the 4x3 without the wide angle adapter. So I would say that this wide angle adapter is not useful for someone like me that flies mostly 4x3, but it could be useful for someone that flies mostly 16:9. So if you want to fly 16:9 mode in the goggles, then with rock steady on, then the adapter will give you a much wider field of view for flying in the goggles, and it will make that flying experience better for you, and you'll get a overall wider output in terms of field of view for the 4K footage. So I think that this is the target audience for this wide angle adapter, is pilots that want to fly in 16:9 mode and want to use rock steady. If you want to use gyroflow, we don't have a lens profile for that yet for the wide angle adapter, so we'll have to wait. And if you want to fly 4x3, I would recommend just not using the adapter and using gyroflow. You'll get a wider field of view output in the 4x in this finalized 16:9 4K footage after it's stabilized. It's actually a wider output field of view compared to the wide angle adapter in 16:9 mode. So interesting finding here. I'm not sure if anyone else is going to discover this, and if you have other things that other ones here that I feel like I need to cover for some reason, let me know in the comments, because I don't feel like there's a good reason to. And this is the finding I found. I honestly, I'm glad that FLYWOO is making something like this. It's a nice invention. I think it's only really useful for this particular pilot, the 16:9 pilot, not the 4x3 pilot. A couple more things on the adapter here before we end the video. There is a fair amount of chromatic aberration in certain angles of light, and it comes out. You have to really do some pixel peeping. if you want me to get into more details about that, that's just standard stuff here, because you're basically pumping the image through an additional lens, and obviously we're not talking, this is like $17 I think for this. So the glass or the plastic, whatever they're using here, is not like ultra high quality Sony stuff here. So you're going to have some artifacts. The vignetting, of course, in the 4x3 mode, because you will see the 3D print in your field of view of the goggle if you fly 4x3. You also get a lot of lens flaring, and that's from the also obviously the extra glass and the UV protectors in the front here. Additionally, I'm not sure what this white plastic is here behind the UV glass. That should not be white, because that basically creates additional reflections inside the lensing here, and that sometimes shows up when you're pointing it at the sun. That should be black. Anyone that knows anything about cameras knows that should be black, and not a reflective black. It should be like a matte black. So just a few downsides there in terms of the adapter itself. I am glad that they are inventing things like this, because a lot of people that, when they first got the 04, most people probably flew 16x9 just because that's what they felt was natural. And obviously in that mode, it's a very cropped in field of view. It's pretty hard to fly. You can get used to it if you're not doing a lot of proximity flying. If you're just doing sort of cinematic flying, it's okay. But if you're doing a lot of like proximity flying, it's pretty tough. But you can still fly this in 4x3 mode and get a much wider field of view than 16x9. And I feel like the 4x3 is pretty flyable in my opinion. So that's pretty much everything here in terms of this wide angle adapter for now. If at some point in the future a lens profile for the 4x3 with Gyroflow with the adapter should come out, then I'll revisit this and see what kind of video footage we can get. Because with the basically the lens profile that exists right now in Gyroflow, the footage is just wonky. It's not stabilized at all because the lens profile is incorrect for what you get, so it just doesn't work. But if a proper lens profile does come out for this later, then I'll revisit this video. But for now, that's going to be it for my findings on the wide angle adapter. Hopefully you found it helpful, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.